Hello friends, welcome back. So we are now on the verse number 3 of chapter number 1 from the Holy Signs. So I hope you must have understood the previous videos and especially the last video where we have discussed the first and the second verse of this chapter. So today's video will be small, but it will contain very important information, without understanding which you won't be able to understand the rest of the concept in this book. Okay. So first of all, in this verse number 3, the concept of Parabrahma has been explained. What it does. So Parabrahma, it generates all the material nature. So Parabrahma is everything, but in fact, its true form, its original form is formless. It doesn't contain any form, but it generates all the material nature, which means all the visible things which have certain form, all those things are generated by this formless Parabrahma. It doesn't have any shape, size, anything in its own. But yeah, it is capable to generate lot of things which have certain shape, certain size, which are known as the materials. Okay. So in this verse, first this information has been given, a basic information about Parabrahma and this nature. Then the concept of Om has been explained. What is Om basically? That we need to understand first. See, you must have understood the concept of Big Bang, right? You must have read about it somewhere, right? So initially, what happened? Like he was one. I mean, that particle which has generated, or you can say that energy which has generated this entire universe was one, and it was very small. You can say like it had infinite density, right? In that particular particle, or you can say in that particular energy, it was stable. There was nothing in it. It was not doing any kind of vibration. But when it started vibration, then what happened? It happened something like this. Suppose there is a cord, and in the middle, you you pick it and you just make some disturbance, right? Then this cord will start vibrating. Vibrating means there will be one wave running here from the middle and the other wave running here on the other side. One in this side and one wave in this side. In both the sides, a wave will start traveling. One wave is traveling towards the other end and the other wave is traveling towards the other end. Okay. So that is the thing which happened when the when the creation actually started. Okay. And this thing, I'm not knowingly or not intentionally or, I'm not doing it to combine the concept of science, today's science, and this book or the spirituality. Let me tell you that this book was written in year 1893, somewhere around 1893. And today we know all this concept that it was an infinite particle, which infinite weight particle. It has infinite weight. And this was single and only one particle, but you know, it started vibrating. This was known as the God particle. So when the God particle started, when the God particle started vibrating, then in that case, it started vibrating. The vibration started in both the directions, one in this positive in this direction and the other one in the opposite direction, in this direction. Okay. And this concept, which is known today, like there was a God particle and it started vibrating, and after that, there happened a very big, explosion, which is known as the Big Bang, right? So the same concept, but not written like Big Bang or any kind of bigger explosion. But yeah, it looks similar, right? So the same thing was explained in the book written by our beloved Sri Yukteswar Giri Ji in 1893 in this book, The Holy Science. And the same thing has been written there. If you read the book, you will find the same thing written there. That it was only just one particle, and then it started vibrating. Once it started vibrating, then the vibration, one of the wave, whenever there is a vibration, there is a wave. There is a wavelength, there is a wave, propagating in some direction. So this wave, one portion of this wave propagated in this direction and the other one propagated in the opposite direction. So whenever there is a wave, there is a frequency. And whenever there is a frequency, then there is a sound. If there is a frequency, then there is a sound. As simple as that. Okay. So this particular sound, which was generated in the very beginning of the creation of this nature due to this Big Bang or whatever you say, this particular wave and its frequency had a certain sound, because every frequency has a certain sound. So this sound was, you know what? This sound generated by this wave was nothing but Om. This was the sound which was created in the beginning. Okay? And this sound Om has generated words, time, space, and atom. All these things have been generated by Om. If you directly read this thing like Om is the reason for generation of word, Om is the reason for time, space, and atom, then it will look like what is the connection? Like how Om has generated, time, space, and atom. Word can be understood. Like if Om is there, then it's a sound. Sound is nothing but it is associated with some word. That is okay. But how it generated time, how it generated space, how it generated atoms, right? So this is nothing but a wave. This Om is nothing but a wave and its frequency. At a certain frequency, it creates a sound Om. That is what the creation sound is. And this sound Om is word itself. So this sound Om generates first thing which is known as word. So one thing which it generates is word, and then comes the time, space, and atom. How it generates words and all these things, that we are going to discuss now. We have already discussed about the word. Due to vibration, we have wave, right? This wave shows different forms, right? This wave which is running, this energy wave which is running, it converted into different forms. Why it converted into different forms? Why it creates different form of, different kind of things? Right. This has been explained in this book. This has been written in this book that this wave only, or this word only, due to which of this wave, this word only is traveling in the form of wave, and which is showing us different forms. Right. There was one experiment done in the modern time. What happened that when they were trying to identify the electrons, try to understand. You can go to the YouTube videos, any of the YouTube videos, and you can find it there. About this experiment, you can find it there. So what happened that some of the scientists were trying to identify to spot the electrons. So when they were trying to spot the electron, and when they were observing it, then in that case, this electron was not showing any particle nature. We know that whenever we create any electron outside the nucleus of the atom, then we see something like this, right? Something like this. But when the scientists try to find out, like, where is the electron which is revolving around the nucleus, where is that electron, then they found that there is no particle. It's just a wave. They were able to observe a wave, right? Most of the people who say, usually say that people are, just superstitious. Those people are basically the superstitious if they don't know this thing, because they have just learned it by heart that there is a nucleus, and outside that nucleus there are certain electrons. Okay. But when the scientists tried to observe it, like where is the, electron, then they found like there is only wave. There are certain waves running around, but there is no such particle. And this happened when they were observing it. When they were observing it, then in that condition, it was showing the nature of the wave. But it also showed the nature of the particle. But when? When they were not observing it. When there was no observer, then they found that it was visible as a particle. So basically, this wave, or whatever is the creation of the God, this wave is basically working in two parts, in two ways. One is wave, and the other one is particle, in two ways, not plus. Basically, it's like wave and particle, and both are mutually exclusive. When some observer is there, then it will be observed as wave. No particle will be visible. And when you will not be observing it, then it will become particle. This is the experiment. This was the experiment which was done. They tried to find out where is the electron. And damn man, that electron was not there. It was just a wave which was available there, right? So basically what we are trying to understand here, that this Vedic science has already explained all these things. This wave which is working as a wave as well as particle. And what kind of wave has this property? The answer is the light wave. We know from the modern science that the light wave has the property of both wave and particle, right? So this is the dual nature of the particles, or the God particle, right? So everything, most of the times you must have heard it, like in most of our scriptures it has been told that we are nothing but a body of light. We are just light sources, nothing else. This is the reason why it is told, and this is the reason what science has found it out, right? They have to reach far, far away, but this spiritual science that you are studying here, it has already reached there, right? Now come to the other parts. Like we have understood like what is word, how word is generated. We know that because of the wave it is generating the word, but how it generates the time? It generates the time because it is changing itself. It's a wave, it is changing itself. So the one, that particle which is known as the God particle, which doesn't do anything, which was there even before this started, which will be there after this will be ended, right? After the vibration, these waves started, but before the vibration it was still there, and it was like the source of this wave. This had contained the source of this wave, but it was not doing anything. So the true nature of this God particle is that it is never changing, and whatever is never changing, that is known as Sat. In Hindi, you write something like this, Sat. It is known as Sat. But since it is changing, so it creates the illusion of time, right? It creates the illusion of time. Why? Because if there is something which was not doing anything, and then it started doing something, and then it is expanding, then there is some kind of points in the nature, or you can say in the creation, there are some kind of points, that those points are known as the coordinates. That coordinate is the coordinate which is known as the time, right? So whatever is never changing, because there is a vibration started, there is a wave which is propagating. Since that wave is propagating ahead, and we have to wait, like when this will start vibrating. Since we have to wait, so it means that it is associated with the time now. It is now associated with the time, right? Since it is associated with the time, so it is it is just creating a hallucination of kala, which is known as the time. I mean, the change in the position, change in the status quo. Time is nothing. Kal is nothing. In Hindi, we say it kal. Kal. The kal is nothing. Kal is just the change in, just the status quo. Status quo at a particular coordinate, right? Because this is expanding. And since this is expanding, so it is acquiring different coordinates in the creation. So status quo means a specific coordinate at a particular time is nothing but kal, or you can say the time. So time is also a coordinate. All these things have been explained in our scriptures, and this book, The Holy Science, it it explains it in much beautiful way. Then see, he was one, but when he started traveling, then we know that from the modern experiment as well, we know that it was traveling as a wave, but it was not visible as a wave. When there is no one, it is acting as a particle as well. So it is having dual nature. But yeah, there is a concept of particle as well. Since there are particles, right? When the concept of particle comes, then you create division, right? You create distance. There is a distance between these 2 points. There is a distance between these 2 points. So when we see something which is, which was one, but now it has been divided into many things, right? It has divided into many. It is expanding. Since it is expanding, so we are able to see the things spreading very fastly, right? So when the things are spreading, then from the modern science as well, we know that there are this nature has been created with the help of number of small tiny particles which are not visible from eyes. They are known as the atoms, right? So there comes the concept of atoms. So something which is indivisible, this God particle, which is something indivisible, but now we are able to see it in different forms. It has been divided into different particles, right? So just because of this nature, that this works as a wave as well as particle, because of this nature, because of the particle nature, we are able to see that it is divisible, right? We hallucinate it as a divisible object. Everything we are able to see that, yeah, there is a person, this is me, that is other thing, I'm a human, the other species is an animal. So all these things we start thinking of. So this is the division. So the one which is indivisible, that is shown as being a divisible object, right? So that divisible object creates a hallucination of distance, right? Due to above, the concept of atom comes that we have already discussed. So these atoms are nothing but the lot of small particles. When these particles gets condensed, then they create some form, like a human form, like some other form. So any kind of form it can be created. Okay. So with this, I just conclude today's video. I hope you must have understood this concept. I will say, I must request to all of you that you must need to go through this book, which is known as the Holy Science. And once you go through this book and then you go through my videos, then you will be able to understand that how amazingly our beloved Sri Yukteswar Giriji has explained the concepts mentioned in Vedas. So I hope you might have enjoyed this video. You are feeling the bliss, and I hope God is always with us. God always remains with you. Okay. So with this, with all these well wishes, I would like to conclude this video, and I would like to say have a nice day and good night.